Welcome to Corporate Agony Ant, the podcast that takes the agony out of career progression and gives you the straight talking advice you actually need to thrive at work. I'm Izzy, your Corporate Agony Ant. Whether you're chasing a promotion, negotiating a pay rise, navigating office politics, or figuring out your next career move, this is the place for career highs, lows, yeses and nos. Hit subscribe wherever you're listening because your next big opportunity starts right here. First up, we're tackling your corporate dilemmas and how to handle them. The first one is, my co-worker takes credit for my ideas. How do I stop them? With this one, you need to speak up in real time and document contributions. Say it first, claim it loud. To elaborate, it can be incredibly frustrating when a co-worker takes credit for your hard work, and you might feel like your ideas are just slipping through the cracks without getting recognition. The first step in stopping this is to speak up in real time. If someone tries to pass off your idea as their own in a meeting, do not let it slide. Politely but firmly redirect the conversation back to you. So, for example, in a meeting, "Oh, actually, I shared that idea last week, Dave, and it's great to see it getting some attention. I'm really excited about the next steps." By calmly reaffirming your contributions in the moment, you make it clear who the idea came from, and you also set a precedent that you won't let your work go unnoticed. Do not be afraid to document your contributions as well, whether that's through a follow-up email, meeting notes, project documentation. If it's written down, it's harder for anyone to claim it as theirs later on. So a role play example, the scenario is you've just shared an idea in a meeting and a colleague immediately takes credit for it. It happens all the time. This is you with a calm tone. "Actually, I mentioned this last week during our planning session. I'm really excited that it's gaining traction. We can definitely explore how much to move forward with it." By speaking up in real time, you reassert ownership of the idea and you subtly remind everyone who is the original contributor. It's you. The approach is confident, non-confrontational, and it ensures that you maintain credit for your work. The next corporate dilemma is, I got promoted, but now my former peers resent me. How do I lead them? Firstly, you need to set clear expectations and stay professional, not personal. You need to lead with respect, not old friendships. It's completely normal to feel a bit awkward when you're promoted and now have to manage former peers. I have done it my entire career. But remember, your job is to lead effectively, not be everybody's best friend. The key here is to set clear expectations from the start. As a leader, it's important to define your role and explain how you plan to approach the team dynamic. Some steps to take. Firstly, you need to set boundaries very early on. Make it clear that you value your past relationships, but the promotion comes with a new set of responsibilities that require a professional approach. So, for example, "Dave, I want to maintain our really great working relationships, but now as your manager, it's important that we create boundaries to keep things professional." Having one-on-one conversations by scheduling individual check-ins with each of your former peers allows you to gauge how they're feeling individually about the transition rather than treating everyone the same way. Listen to their concerns, acknowledge their feelings without getting overly defensive. But you really do need to reaffirm their value, emphasise that you were promoted to the team because of their expertise and you value their contributions, and make sure you feel respected and that their skills are crucial to the team's success. Set expectations clearly, so be transparent about your vision and the goals for the team, as well as your expectations regarding work, performance and behaviour. This way you can remove any ambiguity, which can be a source of resentment. So if we were to role play, you're meeting someone, a former peer who now reports to you, and they seem a little bit upset or hostile about your promotion. "Hey Dave, I wanted to check in and see how you're feeling about the transition. I know this might feel a little different and I wanted to make sure we're on the same page about how we move forward. I really value your contribution to the team and I want to make sure you still feel heard and respected as we did before." You need to pause then and really listen to the concerns without trying to interrupt, interject or put your frame of reference onto their experience. Then you need to say something like, "Thanks for sharing that with me. I think it's really important that we maintain an open and supportive environment. I'll continue to rely on your expertise and together we can move forward as a team." By acknowledging the feelings of your former peers and reassuring them that they are still valued, you maintain professionalism while showing them empathy and respect. At the same time, you set the tone for collaboration and effective working relationships in your new role whilst also underlining what went before. Drawing a line and moving on into the next chapter. For both of the dilemmas I've just raised, the crux of it all is clear communication and confidence in asserting your worth and maintaining professionalism. These strategies will not only help you handle difficult situations, but they also set the foundation for respect and success in your career. Next up, we have our corporate confessionals, the part of the podcast where we hear someone's biggest mistake at work to normalise our mistakes and to make us all feel a bit better about it. Because at the end of the day, we're all only human and this is literally just work. Today's confessional is: I took a gamble on a booking we held rooms for each year that never materialised. This particular year, I wasn't having it, so I continued to sell. It backfired royally. I single-handedly overbooked the hotel by about 80 rooms. Again, I owned it. That's all you can do. I had the rationale behind the gamble, and so my boss backed me. Just had the overbooking to deal with. Instead of leaving it with the receptions team, which is the sales thing to do, I personally picked small groups and individuals and apologised directly that I'd made an error. It wasn't the hotel, it was me, and I was sorry. I was giving 2 months' notice, but I'd be booking them into equivalent standard hotels and, if needed, providing transport from our hotel to the new destination. The result? Minimal complaints because of honesty and communication. There's always going to be a couple that make a mountain out of a molehill, but the majority understand that I was only human. I earned respect not only from my senior management but from the reception team, who weren't expecting me to get involved and sort the problem. That is a prime example of being accountable and action orientated when it comes to making a mistake. That could have been a momentous mess up, but instead the person took control, got involved and was accountable and communicative with how the mistake was going. Not only that, but they offered a solution to the person the mistake was going to affect rather than just hiding behind the problem. It's the biggest way to make a mistake end and to lean into actual solution-orientated growth. Next, we have our interview Power Move Masterclass, and today we're discussing building a career that aligns with your goals. Building a career that aligns with your goals is about taking strategic and purposeful steps to ensure that each role and decision you make moves you closer to your ideal future. Here's how to build the career with intention and alignment. Firstly, experience matters, even if it's not perfect. Your career path isn't always going to be linear, and that's okay. Sometimes a perfect job or position might not come along right away, or the roles you take might not seem like they perfectly match your dream job. However, every experience counts, even the bad ones. Think of your career as a series of stepping stones that will ultimately lead to your end goal. Even if the role isn't your dream job at the time, it could still help you gain valuable skills, expand your network, and open opportunities for what's next. For example, if you're hoping to be a marketing director, but you start off in sales, the experience you gain from understanding needs, market dynamics, and building relationships will help you be a more effective marketeer in the long run, even if it feels like that job is so distantly connected to what you want to do eventually. Every single job I've ever had, whether that be shoveling horse poo on a weekend to selling shoes in retail, have all lent into what I do now. You need to take stock of your results, so regularly assess how each job has contributed to your long-term goals. Have you gained a new skill? Have you expanded your network? Have you taken on small leadership opportunities? Even roles that seem off course may align in the most unexpected of ways. What you really need to be doing is looking for transferable skills. So if a job feels disconnected from your goals, focus on the skills that you're learning that can be applied to future roles rather than the job description. So for example, mastering Excel in a junior role could help you much later on in a higher level position that requires data analysis. I sure wish I'd spent a bit more time in Excel in my junior roles. And most importantly, just don't get discouraged, okay? Just because a role doesn't feel perfect doesn't mean it's a waste of time. Experience is a stepping stone, not a destination. What you need to understand is what career success looks like to you, rather than using society's expectation of success and not really understanding what would make you intrinsically and extrinsically happy. You need to never burn bridges, okay? One of the most important rules to follow in your career is to never burn bridges. Whether you're leaving a company, switching teams, or moving on to a new opportunity, always leave things on good terms. The world is much smaller than we'd like to think, and you never know when an old colleague or manager or connection could help you land a new job, introduce you to a new opportunity, or provide a recommendation for your next role. References are a fundamental part of the interview process, so why would you leave bad blood or on bad terms when you know that can influence your next role? It's so easy to feel frustrated in a job or a situation and want to walk away without a second glance, but leaving on really bad terms is just going to hurt your reputation, not the company's. Career paths are rarely straight lines, and crossing paths with people you've worked with in the past is almost inevitable, especially if you stay in the same city. So by maintaining positive relationships, you're really setting yourself up for the future opportunities that you've deserved and earned, even if you didn't love where you were at the moment. You need to stay professional. No matter how much you dislike a job or a company, always keep professional. Give proper notice. Thank your colleagues. Avoid bad mouthing your employer as you're leaving and when you leave. People do remember how you exit. That's almost their last impression of you. They'll probably rarely remember your work before then if you leave negatively. After you leave a role, stay in touch with colleagues through LinkedIn, emails, by attending industry events, WhatsApp. Networking doesn't stop when you leave a job. Relationships can definitely lead to future collaborations or job leads. Like I said, 3 of my ex-colleagues now work at my previous company because we'd worked together years earlier. When you need a recommendation or you're looking for a new role, have a positive relationship with a colleague and former colleagues and managers actually goes a long way, because if people are advocating for you after the fact, it demonstrates that they really did believe in what you had to say rather than just saying it while you're working for them. So your past job could actually turn into a future reference in future business. Try and get a mentor. Learn from someone who's already walked the path that you want to take. Finding a mentor is one of the most powerful ways to accelerate your career and ensure that you're on the right track. A mentor is someone who's already navigated the path you want to take and can offer valuable insights based on their own experience. They can provide guidance, advice, and constructive feedback on how to avoid common pitfalls, make informed decisions, and navigate tricky situations. But most importantly, they can introduce you to the people who helped open doors for them. Mentors not only help you grow, but you can help you refine your goals. They give you perspective on what skills you need to develop, the right time to make a move, how to manage obstacles you might encounter. Furthermore, mentors' networks are so valuable. That's one of the most valuable traits in a mentor. They can introduce you to literally anyone and giving you access to opportunities that you wouldn't get if you didn't have access to their network. So connections are king or queen. Make sure you leverage a mentor to the best of their ability to help you develop as much as possible. But that being said, as you grow in your career, you need to consider mentoring others. Sharing what you've learned with the next generation of professionals is not only fulfilling, but it strengthens your own learning and networks. Think about how many people gave back to you in order to help you develop. Rather than letting doors close behind you, open them. Open up opportunities for others. Speak people's names in rooms full of opportunities when they're not there to do it for them. Paying it forward is honestly such a good way to continue and maintain an authentic network. Building a career aligned with your goals is a marathon, not a sprint. It is a strategic game of chess. Experience, relationships, mentorships, they're all critical components of crafting the career that you've envisioned. But you really have to be patient, you have to be intentional, you have to have the right strategies and remain ahead of the curve. You'll find yourself thinking, what am I doing here? Why is it relevant? And in years, you'll look back and think, oh, I'm so glad I did that job. I'm so glad I stuck that out. I'm so glad I left that job after 3 to 5 months, because those experiences fundamentally make your career path what it is. I would not change a single thing about my career to date, because if I hadn't done all that, I would not be sat right here talking to you and giving you the advice. What you need to remember is no job is perfect, but each one has something to teach you. Whether it's learning what you don't want to do or what manager you don't want to be, it's still a valuable lesson. And the connections you build today will help propel you into the career you've always wanted. So stay focused on the end goal and keep taking those small steps towards getting there. And please remember that everyone, whether that's an interviewer or your old boss, has an active talent pool, so stay connected. Secondary roles in same organisations, sister companies, moves to new businesses are all made easier if you keep the bridges that you've built rather than trying to burn them. Next up, we're up to our community questions, the part of the podcast where you ask us questions on socials and producer Georgia brings them into the room to make sure you're being heard loud and clear. Producer Georgia, what have we got on the questions today?
When I'm in an interview and someone asks me why I've switched roles so quickly, how do I answer that?
So, for example, I was once applying for a role at University Academy 92 and I'd been at a current company for a year. That could have looked like a quick jump and I could have focused on the negatives, the reason that I felt compelled to leave, but instead I focused on the reasons I wanted this job. So, how come you're only leaving your current role after 1 year? It's like, well, actually, the reason that I'm looking at this opportunity and this opportunity alone is because you fundamentally align with my values and what it is that I'm trying to achieve in my career. So putting the emphasis on the company that you're going to rather than the company that you're leaving is a good way to avoid negativity and make sure you have an answer to navigate each move. Please don't show up without a prepared answer for why are you looking to leave your current job or why have you moved from previous jobs. It's the fastest way that people get fumbled and found out about whether or not they are legit in the interview process. So please rehearse that over and over again. If you're frequently getting the question and you think it might be a deal breaker, maybe have a rethink about how you're answering.
I've just been promoted and my old manager was on 10k more. Would you negotiate?
I would negotiate, but I wouldn't negotiate on the basis of your colleague or your old manager being on more money than you. Instead, I would lean into your worth and contribution, because if they were on 10k more, you can make the assumption that more often than not, that means they've got £10,000 more of budget to play with when it came to your salary. But I wouldn't say, well, Dave was on more, so pay me more. Instead, I would be rooted in my own credibility, experience, and competence. Okay, I would go in for a conversation about a pay rise, but I would base it on myself, me personally, and my own value and worth, and I would not be mentioning previous colleagues or managers. I know that might sound contrarian and maybe like it's not fair advice, but fundamentally, they have appointed you and they've chosen to pay you what they are paying you, and they know what they paid Dave before. So they don't care that there's a discrepancy in pay, because companies are going to try and keep that payroll as low as they possibly can. You need to present reasons and a rationale for why you deserve to pay more, in the knowledge that they've probably got 10k more of budget to pay you, as opposed to comparing yourself to colleagues from old and new. Lean into your experience, your contributions, your development, things that have added value to the company's bottom line, as opposed to, I feel like I deserve a pay rise. I would like a pay rise. It's, this is why I deserve a pay rise. These are my examples. When I did ABC, it impacted the company by X, Y, and Z. Be really clear and have measurable metrics, and go in and ask for that money. Thank you, producer Georgia. Any more questions?
My boss wants me to give up my Fridays off in order to get promoted. Should I push back?
I would. It depends. So if your priority is a promotion above and beyond your time, then maybe it's worth doing. If the promotion will unlock a new opportunity in a different place, and therefore you get your time back and more money, then maybe it's worth assessing. But for me, a promotion shouldn't come with such sacrifice if you've already proven that you are capable and eligible for the job. If you work a 4-day week and they want to take your 5th day off, you have to ask yourself why. But you have to understand also if you can confidently and competently deliver the promotion within the 4 days. Is the job a bigger job? Does it require you to be on 5 days a week? Is it just that he's teeing you up for a job that's going to be a 5-day-a-week job thereafter? Understand what your motivators are and what's important to you. If this is the right time in your career to get a 5-day-a-week job and a big promotion, then by all means do it. Me personally, where I'm at in my career, I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't stand for that, because it doesn't suit with my lifestyle and also what I'd already negotiated when I joined the company. So have a think about what your drivers are. Don't just give in, but you need to decide what actually is your metric for success. Is it the promotion? Is it your own time? Is it a higher salary so that you can negotiate a bigger one somewhere else? Just decide what's important to you. Don't just do what your boss wants you to do without having a rationale or a reason behind it first. Is that it for today? That's it for today. I hope this episode helped to kickstart your career glow up. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our future career tips and tricks, and share this with a friend who's also navigating their career journey and job hunt. Let's build an unstoppable community of professionals who know how to win in the corporate world. There are extra resources on my website and in the links in my bios to help you land your dream job and tackle your corporate dilemmas one step at a time. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Corporate Agony Ant. I was giving 2 months' notice, but I'd be booking them into equivalent standard hotels and, if needed, providing transport from our hotel to the new destination. The result? Minimal complaints because of honesty and communication. There's always going to be a couple that make a mountain out of a molehill, but the majority understand that I was only human. I earned respect not only from my senior management, but from the reception team, who weren't expecting me to get involved and sort the problem. Can you find that other one though, please, Soph? Because That is a prime example. Sit still. That is a prime example of being accountable and action orientated when it comes to making a mistake. That could have been a momentous mess up, but instead the person took control, got involved, and was accountable and communicative with how the mistake was going. Not only that, but they offered a solution to the person the mistake was going to affect rather than just hiding behind the problem. It's the biggest way to make a mistake go quietly, and it's the biggest way to make a mistake end and to lean into actual solution orientated growth. Next, we have our interview power move masterclass, and today we're discussing building a career that aligns with your goals. Building a career that aligns with